Last year, I made more money than I have ever made in a single year in my life, over $10 million. And today I want to share everything I've learned and all the lessons I've taken away and how it applies going into 2025.
I remember when nobody believed in me. I made $1 million, changed the scenery. I still remember when women were mean to me. These days I walk in the club with security. These days I'm feeling a change in the energy. These days you know that I gotta move differently.
The first thing I want to talk about, number one, is the power of routine. I know it sounds cliche. I know you probably hear this all the time, but routine is one of the most important things when it comes to making money. The reason why is because willpower is finite. Have you ever had those days where you have a difficult time getting out of bed or being motivated to work or being motivated to go to the gym? That's because motivation is temporary. The one thing that will keep you on track is a solid routine. I want you to think about it like this. Do you know how it usually takes no energy to brush your teeth? You just do it out of habit, or at least I hope you would. The same applies for a shower. The same applies for doing chores around the house that you normally do. That's because you've built it into your routine. So one of the biggest things, whether it comes to building your business or going to the gym consistently, it's not about motivation or inspiration. That only works so well. If you go on YouTube every morning and watch a motivational video, you might have some motivation, but what's gonna get you to do it in the long run is the power of routine, because you need these things to compound over a long period of time. A business isn't built in a day in the same way that Rome wasn't built overnight. Just because you're motivated or inspired for a day to go to the gym or build a business, nothing is gonna change because it takes a lot longer than that. Businesses and healthy bodies, fitness, stuff like that is built over time. It's the power of compounding day after day after day of doing the same thing. And the only way you do it consistently is by building a routine. People often ask me, how long does it take to build a routine? How long until something becomes automatic? Well, the magic number typically, and you can look this up, it tends to be 26 days for something to become a habit. If you can stick with something for 26 days, no matter how hard it is, just build it into your routine, it'll become a habit. And eventually, if you can hold on to that for 67 days, it becomes automatic, just a part of your life. When you look at these excellent winners, these people that are making tens of millions of dollars, these people that are in great shape, these people have built routine into their life, whether it's going to the gym or building their business. They've built excellence into the fabric of their being. And that's exactly what you need to do. You need to build a routine. Number two, the second thing I want to share with you that I learned this year is you have to find one thing and get really good at it. The secret to anyone that's made a ton of money is they didn't do it trying 7 different things or 8 or 9 different things. They did it all through one thing. When you look at every single billionaire on earth, they didn't do it with 12 different businesses. No, they typically have 1 or 2 businesses where they made all of their money, which they then diversified into other things. You look at LeBron James, he's a billionaire. He has all of these businesses. He made most of his money through basketball, which allowed the rest of it to happen. One of the biggest mistakes I made earlier in my business career as a young entrepreneur is I wanted to do way too many things at once. The reason I made so much money this year is because I focused on one thing, social media marketing. Back in 2017, when I started my online business, social media marketing, I started making some money because I was only focused on this one thing. In 2019, 2020, 2021, I saw a little bit of a decline in my income because I started to get a little complacent. I started looking at way too many things at once. I wanted to start an e-commerce business. I wanted to start a supplement company. I wanted to do it while having my marketing agency. I wanted to start selling courses in education. Meanwhile, content stuff, become a content creator. All my focus was divided amongst all of these things. And because of that, they were all making money, but it wasn't as much as I could have made if I just focused on the one thing. And so this past year, all I did was I put a pause on all the other businesses. I locked in on the business that made me rich and focused on how I can keep growing that. And that's really what worked out for me. I think a lot of people, it gets easy to look at the new shiny object, the new trend, right? They're popping up all the time, whether it's a new social media platform, a new way to make money, something that seems easy, but maybe it's not all it's cracked up to be, right? We see it all the time with the trend of NFTs or crypto or TikTok shop. How many times throughout the years have you seen people that jump on these trends and then all of a sudden they stop doing them altogether? They think it's the next thing, it's the future, it's gonna be the biggest thing they've ever encountered, it's gonna make them a billionaire, and then sure enough, 6 months later, they're gone, never to be heard of again. That's what happens when you get distracted. There's a wise quote that says, the man who chases 2 rabbits usually catches none. And I think the same applies to business and making money. If you wanna make a lot of money, you wanna really take it to the next level, you wanna take your entire life to the next level, focus on one thing and get really good at it, because that one thing has the potential to make you millions and billions of dollars. Which leads me to my third point. build ancillary businesses. This is gonna sound a little contradictory to what I just said, but I want you to listen here because this is some really advanced business stuff that you don't even learn in college. An ancillary business is a business that complements your main business. Here's what I mean by that. Typically, if you're starting two businesses that are unrelated, it's a lot of work because there's a lot of pieces that have to be built for each other business. An ancillary business would be a business that kind of fits within the first one. For example, here's an example of an ancillary business that I have. I started with my marketing agency. I help businesses with their social media. They pay me a lot of money to do it. That's how I got rich in the first place. If you want to learn how to do that, I have a class in the description. I'm gonna put a link. I do a free class. You can check that out if you want. But that's how I got rich in the first place, through a social media marketing agency. Now, an ancillary business I started to that is my software company because it's something that I needed. I paid developers $250,000 and they built me the software that helps me find more clients using AI. So I have my marketing agency where I'm helping these businesses with their social media. I started an ancillary business, which is a software company that uses AI to help me find more clients. These businesses work together and they both make a lot of money for me. They almost compound on each other. I took it a step further by then also teaching people how to do social media marketing. If I'm talking about it already, I might as well teach other people how to do it. So it's another stream of income. It's a third ancillary business. But now I added even more on top of that. I hope you guys see where I'm going here. All of these businesses are working together to form one giant mega business, but they're still technically different businesses. The last piece of that, what makes this so brilliant, is the people that I was teaching, I noticed a lot of them, they didn't want to do the work, right? Human beings, we have this tendency to be a little bit lazy. So I added one big piece to that, and I decided to let them franchise out my business. Hey, you don't want to do the work? Tell you what, if you get your clients, you can bring them to me. I'll have my team close the deals. If you're shy, you don't want to talk to them, no worries. My team will close the deals. We'll do all the work for you and we'll split it 50-50. Tell you what, you can even use my software to find the clients. So I want you guys to see the big picture here because this is kind of like the mind-blowing breakthrough that changed my life when it comes to ancillary businesses. And you'll see it all across the board. We're gonna go into a couple more different examples right now, but think about it like this. I have a marketing agency that helps businesses. I have a software that helps find the clients for my agency. I teach people how to do it and give them the option of partnering with my agency to then bring us clients using my software. People are paying me to franchise my business, so the business grows. They're making money, I'm making money, and my software is making money. And that's how the formula that I've used to make over $10 million this year. When all of these businesses build on top of each other and they're all related, it's still kind of the same business, but it's different businesses. It allows me to have multiple streams of income based around the same thing. And that's kind of the secret when it comes to ancillary businesses. Here's a really cool part of that. You will see this all across the board with every single company. Think about it, Apple. What does Apple sell? People think it's just this right here, an iPhone, right? Or a MacBook. They think they sell these and that's how they make their money. Well, think about it like this. Apple has ancillary businesses. What other businesses does Apple have? Well, I'll tell you one thing. They have streaming. They have Apple TV. They sell you an Apple TV. They have a streaming service that you can watch from your Apple device. What else do they have? They also have an app store. They have an app marketplace. Every single app that you download on your phone, they're getting a piece of that. They're getting 30%, I think it's 30% of everything on the App Store on their Apple devices. So not only do they have the devices that you pay money for, they have the streaming service, which you pay monthly for, and then they have the apps, which they make money on. They have an entire array of ancillary businesses: entertainment, streaming, electronics, consumer devices, and an app marketplace. They have an entire ecosystem. That's an example of ancillary businesses that make a ton of money. Okay, I want to give you one more example of ancillary businesses before we get to the next thing, because I really want to spend time on this because this is really important. For those of you guys that are really looking to take it to the next level and you kind of want to start a lot of things like me, I'm really ADHD. I can't stick with one business, but I found a way to deal with it by starting a bunch of businesses revolving around the same thing. Another example of this would be Amazon. You guys know Amazon. They're the biggest delivery e-commerce platform in the world. Amazon started by being an e-commerce platform. People could sell things on Amazon. It was a marketplace. They didn't even have any products. It was other people's products they were selling on Amazon.com. All they would do is fulfill for it, right? They added an ancillary part of the business by starting to sell their own products. Now you can buy Amazon Basics. So not only do they sell other people's products, it's a marketplace, but they also they manufacture and make their own products. So that's how they make more money. They bought Whole Foods. And now what do? They do grocery delivery services. So now not only do they deliver consumer goods, they're also delivering groceries. They have a Whole Foods all around. You can go to Whole Foods and you could pay with your Amazon account. It's an ancillary business because they're in the business of retail, selling to direct to consumer. And what's one way to do that? They can have a grocery chain like Whole Foods, right? What else? They bought Twitch, which is almost an advertising wing of Amazon. I think they also bought the Washington Post, which is the media wing. So they have all these ancillary businesses that revolve around their main business, which is Amazon. I want you guys to take this idea into consideration because there's lots of ways to do it. No matter what business you're doing, you could be selling perfume. An ancillary business to perfume would be a men's cologne line, right? It would also be accessories, refills. There's a lot of different ancillary businesses or add-ons that you can do to your business. It could be a subscription to Scent Club or something. There's different ancillary businesses you can attach to your main business that will allow you to multiply your revenue tenfold. Number 4, don't be afraid to spend and reinvest your money. A lot of people, once they start making a little bit of money, they get scared, they get hesitant. They think that, hey, I'm making all this money now, it's time to put my foot on the brake. When in reality, you should put your foot on the gas. The more money you make, the more money you should spend because a business, like anything else, like a vehicle, it requires gasoline to run. You have a bigger car, guess what? You're gonna need more gasoline, right? Or more electricity or more power. You're gonna need more fuel. And the fuel to your business is money. Now, I don't want you to mistake what I'm saying here. I'm not saying don't be afraid to spend money and buy Lamborghinis and Rolex watches and designer clothes because that's not gonna help your business. When I say don't be afraid to spend money or reinvest, I mean don't be afraid to invest in anything that pertains to your business. I will spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on consulting for my business, figuring out how to grow it and take it to the next level because the information I had to grow my business to 6 figures is not the same that I needed to take it to 7 figures. And the information at 7 figures is not the same that I needed to take it to 8 figures. Now I'm at this place where I want to have a $100 million business. I'm going to have to find coaches and consultants and mentors to help me get to that level because I don't know how to get there yet. Don't be afraid to invest in consulting. Don't be afraid to invest in employees. A lot of people are scared to hire people because they say, oh, it's less money for me. I'll just do the work and make more money. That's the wrong way to think about business. In a business, the idea is you want half of a watermelon instead of 10 grapes. I'm gonna say that again. You want half of watermelon instead of 10 grapes. Because you can have 10 grapes all to yourself, which is great, right? Technically, you have everything, but it's still nothing. It's still a handful. Whereas half a watermelon, you have a piece, half of this big pie. And that's kind of how big businesses work. The moment you wanna scale and grow bigger, it's gonna no longer be a single person thing. I notice a lot of people that are scared to invest their money or spend their money once their business starts making it. They say, I'm gonna keep doing the work myself. I'm gonna keep making the money. And instead of delegating that work to someone else, right? You might make a little less money in the beginning, but you're able to do more. These days, I have an agency. We have 14 different employees. I'm able to go in here, film this video, make this video while they're getting more done in a day than I would by myself. We get enough work as 5 or 6 of me, right? I'm not hiring these people to become exact clones of me because that's never gonna happen. Otherwise, they would have their own business. But I'm hiring them to maybe do a third of what I do or a fourth of what I do. And if I can get 4 or 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 of these people, now it's like there's 6 or 7 of me. So we're making 7 times the income and I'm okay sharing that with them. So when I say don't be afraid to spend your money, don't be afraid to reinvest your money, I want you guys to spend everything you make essentially because it's gonna allow you to continue to grow your business. At some point you hit critical mass and it doesn't matter how much you spend per month or what your bills are because your business is big enough to sustain it. For example, these days, my overhead's about $100,000 a month. I have a giant penthouse, $20,000 a month. I have 3 cars, $5,000, $6,000 a month with insurance. I have wife, nanny, kid, my personal expenses, travel, vacation. Realistically, we're spending about $100,000 a month, right? Chef, masseuse, like I have all this stuff. It sounds like a lot of money. And don't get me wrong, when I was starting, I couldn't even fathom that. When I was starting, I was making a couple, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month. I couldn't fathom having bills of $100,000 a month. But when your business gets to a point that you're churning $500,000 to $600,000 a month to bring in $1 million a month or $2 million a month, now you have room where it's only a small fractional piece of your income. A lot of people have this scarcity mindset where they think that, oh, 100 grand a month, I would never spend that. Yeah, because you're making $5,000 a month. You're not thinking big enough. The second you start making $1 million, $2 million a month, $100,000 a month is a very small piece of your income. I want you guys to tell me this. Who's smarter financially? Someone that's making $5,000 a month that spends $4,000 a month on bills, or someone that's making $2 million a month that spends $100,000 a month on bills? When you look at it proportionally, it's all about perspective, right? When you look at it proportionally, the person making $2 million is actually spending less of their income. They're only spending 5% of their income. Whereas the person that's making $5,000 a month, they're spending 80% of your income. So a lot of people find it hard to grasp their mind around that idea of spending proportionally or getting their business to critical mass. But the idea is to spend and invest in your business so that it continues to grow till some point you make more money than you can spend. Because that's how every single billionaire on the planet operates. People often look at billionaires like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos and think that they have all of this money that they spend on themselves. They're not spending that much money. Maybe $10-20 million a year that they spend outside of big house purchases or yacht purchases. They're spending $10 or $20 million a year. It's not a lot of money. It's like less than 1% of their income. But they're able to do this because they built something so big. I want you to focus on spending, reinvesting until you get to a point that your business is so big that it can support the weight of your life or your lifestyle or do whatever you want to do, and it gives you full financial freedom. Because that's really one of the things that like improves your quality of life. It's not saving your money until you're rich at 70 years old. It's making enough money so that you have complete freedom. And I think a lot of you guys will agree with that. And the last thing I want to share with you guys today, number 5, and it probably applies to everything that we're talking about, is keeping it. Keeping all of the money you've made, because like I said, when it comes to wealth accumulation, growing your wealth, the more money you have, the faster it can grow. Ideally, we have $100 million and we just live off of interest for the rest of our lives. That's what a lot of these ultra wealthy 1% people do. But the second that you start making money, the trick is to keeping it. And in order to do that, it's a very simple thing. There's 2 rules. Number 1, you buy appreciating assets. And number 2, you hire tax people. Okay, and I'm gonna go more in depth in these. Starting with the first one, buying appreciating assets. When I'm making all of this money, the first thing I buy is not a diamond bracelet or a fancy penthouse, or I go and get a fancy car or designer clothes. I'm not buying this with my first chunk of money. The first thing I do is I buy something that goes up in value, appreciating assets. So it wouldn't be a car. I wouldn't rent a fancy place. The first thing I would do is I would acquire a piece of land or buy some cryptocurrency or buy some stocks, something that's gonna go up in value, right? For my personal portfolio last year, just to give you guys an idea, we acquired 2 apartment buildings, a hotel, some movie rights, which is a really weird one that I wouldn't recommend for beginners, but I had the right deal, was on my desk, and a couple $100,000 in cryptocurrency. So we dumped nearly $1 to $2 million on all of these appreciating assets. These 2 apartment buildings, they're gonna be going up in value. This hotel, it's gonna be going up in value. The cryptocurrency, we only really bought Bitcoin. It's gonna be going up in value. And the movie rights is something that could pay me for the rest of my life. When I buy these assets, it allows my money to be stored and safe. Your money in a bank is not safe. If you're saving money and you have it in a bank right now, it is not safe in there because you're losing money to inflation, you're losing money to depreciation, you're losing money on everything you saved in the bank. When I was broke growing up, my mother would harp on saving your money. Leave it in the bank, it's safe in there, right? It's not. I want you to think about it like this. Everything you have in the bank right now, it is burning. It is lit on fire and it is slowly going to zero. That's why you see the price of goods rising so drastically. The dollar is being worth less and less. And that's not because the country's doing bad or good. It has nothing to do with that. It mainly has to do with the fact that the way that the dollar is set up is flawed. They can print more of it. And if you can print more of anything, it's gonna go down in value no matter what. So the trick around that, the way you do it, is you take that money, you don't have it in a bank, you have it parked somewhere like real estate or businesses or cryptocurrency. You park your money in a place that is not going to lose value. It's only gonna go up. Because right now, this apartment building I have might be worth $1 million, but in 10 years from now, it's gonna be worth 7 million or 8 million. Meanwhile, the dollar is gonna be worth 50% of what it's worth right now. So do you guys see what I'm seeing here? The second part to this, which makes it exciting, is a lot of these investments are tax write-offs. So why I say hire a tax person right when you start making money, once you start accumulating wealth, is because they'll teach you how to get around the laws, the loopholes, right? All of the rich people in the world, they're not paying taxes, right? And they always say like, eat the rich, tax the billionaires. But isn't it crazy that the other rich people are saying this? right? I don't want to make this political, but for example, there's a guy, Bernie Sanders, you may have heard of him. He says, tax the rich, tax these billionaires. Billionaires deserve to pay taxes. Did you guys know Bernie Sanders is a multimillionaire? Isn't it crazy that a multimillionaire is talking to people that are broke about taxing billionaires? And people are like, yeah, I agree with the multimillionaire. It's crazy to me. He's using these same tax loopholes. All these people are using these tax loopholes. So the secret to keeping your money is investing it, buying appreciating assets, but also avoiding tax liability. Because any money that you give to the government, it's gone forever. As a citizen of the United States, I love my country. I want to pay taxes. I want to pay my fair share of taxes. But at the same time, if I can go and invest in a building and use it as a tax write-off, or I can buy myself a new car and use it as a tax write-off, why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I invest and continue to build and grow my wealth as opposed to giving all the money for taxes? Just to kind of recap on all this stuff, guys, here's what I learned from this year that you can use if you want to get ultra wealthy. Number one is get into routine. Build a routine that allows you to do good things consistently, and that will compound to eventually build you good habits and build a business, healthy body, etc., etc. The second thing, find one skill that's gonna make you rich. Don't try and do 100 things at once. It's never gonna work. It hardly does. Find one skill, whether it's e-commerce, real estate, stocks, crypto, social media marketing, what I do. Like I said, I have a link in my description if you guys wanna learn how to do that. Find one skill that's gonna allow you to start making money, and then build ancillary businesses around that. Build other streams of income around that one skill, because that's what's gonna allow you to get to these massive numbers, 5, 10, $20 million a year. From there, don't be afraid to invest your money, because all of that money that's coming in, it's not gonna grow unless you continue to feed the businesses. Businesses need fuel like a car or a jet would, and the more fuel you give it, the faster it can grow, okay? And as it grows faster and you start making a lot of money, you wanna keep it. Take all this money you're making, invest it into appreciating assets that will allow you to continue to preserve your wealth, right? Hire a tax person so you can understand how to avoid tax liability. These are all the things I learned this year that are really, in my opinion, I never really thought about it, but it's gonna make me worth hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars one day, because all I'm doing is focusing on these 5 core principles. So hopefully this helped. Hopefully you guys like this video. I know it was a little advanced, but listen, I think you guys are ready for the good stuff. So comment in the comments what you guys wanna see. Let me know, but it was really good to be back. I appreciate you guys. Peace out.